1-0. Current scoreline. Pretty one-sided if you ask me. Now, Pentanet very much in the lead. One whole game in the bag. They need 2 more for the dub. But Peace, how well and how resilient can they be? Because at the moment, you know, they haven't been in this position 1 game down in a series. Yesterday, they just took 3 in a row. So I guess the pressure's on them this time. Let's see how they perform, Rusty.
Yeah, absolutely. Pressure's on. One thing that we should point out is Peace have chosen blue side as well in this coming game. So this is maybe the first time we've seen them on the blue side at all. And that luxury that you get being on blue side, particularly at least in the LCO, of target bans is something that we'll get to see from them for the first time. Very much looking forward to that adaptation. And I also want to highlight, before we get into the second game as well, that this was not the best performance we've seen from Pentanet.gg at all. They came into their own 100%, right, as the game progressed. But the fact that they've shown some signs of being beatable again is a massive positive for Peace, because the signs they were beatable is when Peace are the strongest.
That's it. You know, they can really put the pressure on the points that are necessary. Now, something I want to ask is, what do you think is going to happen in this champ select? You know, the draft, is it going to look any different? Who's going to be making the changes? Will the Kaiser be swapping positions? Because we really loved what we saw from Praedyth there on the Tristana.
Well, I think we're going to see a lot of different actually changes coming through. Obviously, the fact that the team swap side is instantly going to mean that the bans are going to be changed. You're going to be seeing Pentanet having to ban away the likes of maybe Hecarim, Thresh, Seraphine, if those are the ones that are going to continue to get banned on red side, which sort of opens up a little bit more for Peace. Also, the fact that they get first pick, what are they going to prioritize? Again, as Rusty said, we didn't get to see that at all yesterday. So far, it's been Tristana that's been the first pick, I think, in almost every game that I've watched that Peace has played in, right? And it's always been against them. So is that something that they're going to want to pick up and perhaps take away from Pentanet? If they do, potentially that leaves Kaiser open for Praedyth. So I'm not so sure that that's necessarily the case, but yeah, definitely something's going to change in this champ select. It's not going to be the same as what we saw yesterday, where Direwolves is going to get to go for pretty much the exact same thing on blue side again.
Well, all these questions about to be answered. Champ select is ready. Game 2 coming up right now. Boys, enjoy it.
Going to enjoy it for sure, Mac. This is looking like it should be a good series. I'm certainly hoping Peace is going to at least be able to sneak 1 or 2 through. But either way, let's get stuck into champ select, because we are already pretty deep. Now, things to note. Volibear taken away by Peace. Parbu's not going to get that this game. Thresh and Tristana, interestingly, taken away by Pentanet. So they're not too keen to allow that flex pick potential on the Peace side of things. But what all that does mean is that Peace gets Hecarim. Noteworthy, though, Lilia also available. So maybe something that we can see Pentanet lean towards if they were to be interested in that. And Rel, the choice for the bot lane.
That's because Thresh and Alistar are gone. So, yeah, this is not too crazy to me, but it does open up a pretty free Rel pick. The Hecarim being given, I think this is one of the first Hecarims we've actually seen. This third pick from PGG would make sense. The thing that I like for the side of Peace that we haven't seen a lot from them at all, actually, in playoffs, is the Xayah Rakan. I believe yesterday we saw 3 Rakan bans away from Aladoric, which realistically is banning the Xayah Rakan duo. It's not just a Rakan ban. They prioritized Aladoric's pick, yes. But Violet's been an insane Xayah player. And I think now we've got what I would say is more normal for both of these teams in terms of their champions of preference, right? Your Kai'Sa Rel bot lane, your Xayah Rakan bot lane as a matchup. Both players maybe on their individual best picks as well. So this is a super exciting bottom lane 2v2 now to watch.
What's interesting to me here is that we get another Aatrox ban from Pentanet. Now, I'm not sure if you saw, but they did ban it last game as well, away from Appy, which is surprising to me because I don't feel that the Aatrox is going to be one of those picks that you're going to be very likely to see. Now, granted, Appy has played it this season before, but does it warrant the ban away by Pentanet 2 games in a row? Are they that afraid of the Aatrox?
I mean, they must be if they're going to be playing tanks in top lane. One of the most common matchups we'll see, you know, tanks v bruisers in top lane right now. Aatrox is one of those bruisers that can run away with the game if you give them any agency. And if Appy is just this freak Aatrox, you know, we didn't see it yesterday at all. It could just be something that BioPanther's not comfortable versing with his champions of choice, however. So, you know, Sion banned away this time. Curious to see what else gets taken away from him. You know, things like Ornn exist for BioPanther regardless. And looking at his champion pool, Ornn's his most played. He's got the Urgot as well, which goes nicely with the rest of the composition, already having the Rel engage.
Orianna taken away from Halo as well. So he'll have to lean maybe back towards Syndra again, saw that last game. Or is there something else in the wheelhouse for Halo? Did play Silas and Zilean a little bit in the final week of competition, so maybe that gets pulled out. A Lucian also in the playoffs yesterday. We get the Ornn from Peace, which is not a huge surprise to be seeing that one come through. Very happy on that champion.
You need an Orianna or something now, I think, for mid lane, though, to round out your composition.
Well, it's not going to be Orianna.
Yeah, like Syndra does start, you have to start to go down the list again and look for champions. We've seen this from Peace before. It was ultimately a loss, but you've got a Zilean with a Hecarim. So it's one of the more nasty combos, and something worth pointing out, your other options to go with the Hecarim, like a Karma or a Lulu maybe, if your goal is to speed him up, right, to augment his ability. I think Zilean probably does the most damage of those three in terms of, like, you can build full AP while still being supportive, right? The Karma wants to go for the Moonstone build, so I don't hate it at all. The only problem is it's a blind pick, so you can pick whatever you want if you're Chaz into that one.
And what he wants is Akali, so recently buffed, coming through on the 11.6 patch. Already starting to see it creep into the gameplay a little. Saw it yesterday in the top lane from Direwolves. Didn't have a great time there, but perhaps here against Halo, you know, Zilean's not exactly the biggest of presences in mid. Maybe Chaz can start to Chaz it up, so to speak.
Yeah, he definitely could. The thing with this mid lane matchup is Akali pretty weak early, right? Does have a bit of threat, especially in top lane or like melee matchups, but Zilean's not someone that's going to kill you at level 1, even though it's ranged versus melee, right? He's not going to kill you at level 2 because you can just shroud and navigate the lane fine. And Zilean as a champion needs to hit QWQ to be able to stun you, and that's so much time for Chaz on Akali to just naturally react to that ability combo and just disengage. The threat is the Hecarim. The threat might be the 2v2, but the Akali, to me, has a pretty free lane and can start to do some work. You know, hit level 6 almost for free, get team fighting, get some kills roaming around the map, and have a big influence.
I saw our resident rap god tweeting or saying maybe in the chat a little earlier that he thinks Lisa is underrated. Maybe this is a game where we need to see Lisa sort of stepping up. As you say, the tools are there for him on the Hecarim. I like to see Violet, though, on the Xayah as well. I think that's going to be a very powerful bot lane. So I'm going to be keeping my eyes, I think, more on the bot lane than anything else right now for Peace. If they can get that Xayah Rakan, which seems to be something that most teams have been afraid of, it makes you wonder, how confident does Pentanet feel in that bot lane? And to be fair, why wouldn't they be confident, especially after last game?
And if we want to bring up momentum just quickly here as well, right, it has been halted. There is no 4-0 start here for Peace going in back-to-back series. And PGG are about to find their comfort zone coming into the best of 5. They were slow to start in game 1, but they found themselves a little bit more. This is that really important moment for Peace to stop the momentum swinging the other way, to give themselves that full reset of their own accord, not get upset, not get tilted, just stay and play basic League of Legends their way. They've drafted for that. The question is, can they do it in play?
Indeed, indeed. It's going to be a big one today for Peace if they can manage to get the 1-1 scoreline. And to go hand in hand with that, it's time for us to have a chat with Midlord, who is the coach of Peace. And it's always good to get some insight from him. So I want to talk to you, Midlord, about yesterday before we start talking about today. Do you think that was the best Peace that we've seen so far this season? And is that a level that you can consistently hit as a team?
I think we can do better as a team. not really good at this moment, but we can become better.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Can you tell me a little bit about the preparation coming into today? You know, walk me through what happened yesterday night after your game. Did you go over that match? Did you have a watch of it earlier on in the day today? And how did you sort of spend the day today with the team in the lead up to this match?
Because we win easily last night, right? So we just give give our teammates good decision for today's ban pick, and they told me they want to show me their ability in this game.
Okay.
I hope.
And what about... Oh, you finished your sentence?
Oh yeah, I finished it.
Okay. What about the discussion between Game 1 and Game 2 for today? Obviously, things looked pretty good last game, and then you started to fall behind. Pentanet showing some good stuff in the mid-game and the late game. So what are you focusing on coming into this game right now?
Yeah, because last game, the double carry can escape from our engage, and the 3 tank is really tank, like Oliver and Alistar and the Sun is really tank, and I can't kill them fast. So that's why we lose the first game.
All right, we'll be looking forward to seeing if Peace can come back here in Game 2. Midlord, thank you very much for the interview. Always great to get your insight.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll talk to you later on as well, hopefully. But Rusty, anything to update me on in the first few minutes?
So far, pretty standard stuff all around, really. Pabu with a bit more tempo in jungle, farming a bit faster. I think he had a soft leash, though I wasn't paying too much attention to the leash itself. But he is definitely a few seconds ahead in this jungle matchup. Both just doing level 4 jungle clears, however. The reason that you can tell he's ahead is because Scuttle Crab timings. Lisa has only just caught up to that now and gets a ward over at the Gromp as it goes to respawn. So good vision secured by him. Otherwise, mid lane going exactly as we kind of said it would. There's nothing doing from a Zillion early, and it's very hard to gank a Chaz on a Kali.
Yep, he's just going to scoot out of there, although stun does land, he's going to be fine.
It really doesn't matter, though. Like, in the scope of things, Halo's already had to teleport for a tier purchase because he's running out of mana just trying to keep the wave pushed to try and keep Chaz busy. Chaz hasn't based it all yet, still has that teleport ready. And even after that gank is healthy enough that he doesn't even need to use the potion with that Doran shield that accompanies it at level 1 to stay in the lane at all.
I was going to say Peace is recalling on a ward again, but Aladoric decides that he wants to stop Decoy from freezing the wave. It's actually very important in the grand scheme of things that Peace don't allow that to happen, otherwise they get stuck in the worst possible place they could be. And then you start opening up avenues for Pabu to start walking down bot, looking for ganks. So pretty heads-up play there from Peace.
Yeah, if you full reset with a freeze going against you, you just fall really far behind. As it stands, though, they're pretty far ahead. Praetor's being forced to recall level 3, as you just saw. You know, double longsword, no potions in his build. Means that they've been laning very well at the moment. And that, you know, Praetor will be able to catch up a little bit here, but that lack of potion does actually start to add up. And the difference in their item purchases on that reset is significant. The full Berserker Greave to the double longsword. So kill threat definitely exists down in the bottom lane in favor of Peace. That's something that they would very specifically want to have for themselves as players, let alone matchup.
Speaking of the matchup, the Xayah into the Kai'Sa matchup has been one of the better ones against Kai'Sa. I think it's something like a 43% win rate for the Xayah in that matchup in the LCO so far. So we'll see if that's going to continue. I should say 43% for the Kai'Sa in that matchup. It's the 57% for the Xayah,
yeah,
if I remember correctly. So a little bit more favorable for the Xayah than perhaps for the Kai'Sa. But again, how much can you really dive into that when there's a whole lot more context in that regard? But I think Violet's going to be very, very comfortable on Xayah. It's definitely a champion that he's been playing a lot so far this season. And the same for Aladoric, obviously, on Rakan, a champion that he would have been quite eager to pick up yesterday and wasn't given the opportunity to do so. So maybe it is a good chance to pull out the big guns in the bot lane for Peace, because it kind of feels like they need it right now against Pentanet.
Yeah, good prio in bottom lane, basically forced here, even though there was a Swell Seed chucked down there by Pabu, and it did actually find Violet. This will also reveal, as you can see there, it hits before the Dragon. They know it's being done an early teleport from PGG. They just assume it's being completed, I think, at this point. Chaz teleporting for prio in Dragon Pit, not mid lane. So they are going to contest this one for sure. I don't know if Peace do.
No, well, Lisa's in the top side river now, so he's definitely not interested in contesting at all. He'll make do with a Scuttle Crab. So a little advantage goes to Pentanet.
Oh, kind of, yeah. I mean, Pabu has to really earn this Dragon. And you have to think about the stats it provides, a pretty small amount of percentage buff this early. Pabu's not behind in experience, so there's no catch-up mechanic on that dragon either, and he had to use one of his smites super early to secure it when Lisa already was level 6 to 5, was able to steal a camper and a little bit of change away from Pabu. It's good for PGG overall, right? It's an early dragon, means that they can start threatening an early dragon soul as a win condition. But right now, it's still nice for Lisa to catch up just that little bit that he was behind before and put himself into a comfortable position. And has a pretty big experience and health lead on the map right now.
Yeah, Pabu's having a reset just to get some HP back as well after doing the blue buff. He has hit level 6 though, so that's an important power spike for Lilia. Top lane, a little bit more in line with what we expected. Nothing really going on there, just a farm fest. Small advantage maybe for Biopanther, but really nothing to speak to. Halo and Chaz are doing much the same in mid.
Really, the only advantage is bot lane. You know, you talk about top and mid, nothing doing, very true. Jungle's just caught up to each other from that dragon play. The reason that they catch up from the dragon play, right, is because Praetor and Decoy do not stay to hit it. They are behind in bot lane and they choose to prioritize themselves, so they stay in the lane. So, you know, 10 odd CS lead, another free reset there by the side of Peace in bottom lane for some extra items. Sitting pretty overall.
Ooh, that doesn't feel too good if you're Halo. And it's going to be followed up with a bunch more damage as well. He did still have 2 stacks of the Corrupting Potion going. In fact, I think he actually has all 3 running right now, if I'm looking at things correctly. Yeah, he did. So he'll be fine to get back up to full HP pretty quick smart here. Overall, not the end of the world. Just trying to zone Pabu.
Started? I don't think it's been committed to by any means. Akali in a very good spot here overall in this 1v1 in mid now.
Yeah.
Zillion's never going to realistically die unless he makes a massive mistake. But it doesn't mean that he's going to be able to control that lane. It's all just about pushing and leaving now, and Akali loves those roams to help side lane.
Well, this could be dangerous, but Chaz dodges Aladoric's W and decides to go right back in. Violet putting down as much damage as possible. Appy has arrived, courtesy of teleport. Now here comes Call on the forward guard, but it's a field goal through Pentanet. Not that it matters. Look at the damage from Violet and Aladoric. The bot lane really ripping through Pentanet. And Appy scores himself 1 on the exit as well.
They just smashed through them. Peace, comprehensive victory in that team fight. Never even in doubt, really, at all. Herald going to be secured here on top of the 3 kills. Summoner spells used everywhere from the 2 that survived on the side of Pentanet. That's exactly the fight that they're looking for. Violet with the early lead. Violet getting there early with Aladoric as well. And while it didn't immediately find an Akali, it forced the Shroud out. And suddenly Chaz wasn't able to do anything if that fight continued. You see the results of that now. 3-0 score difference.
One of those kills goes to Violet. 1 to Aladoric and 1 to Appy. Here's the replay.
Yeah, Chaz just caught to the side there. No Shroud. Has to use his ultimate to try and cover some distance. Violet's able to get in there with his ultimate nicely. Urgot ultimate going a little bit wide there as well from Biopanther. Has to flash the wall, but how quick that fight was over.
Well, Featherstorm contributing quite significantly to that fact, I'd say. And Violet will just clear the bot wave here. So, like I said, I'm keeping my eyes on the bot lane going into this game. And I'm certainly keeping my eyes on that now, especially after seeing that last fight. Violet and Aladoric really starting to come online. Praetor will match them solo for now, but Decoy's starting to walk his way back down. So Aladoric needs to be careful that he's not baited into anything yet. There's a control ward and a Hex Flash. Aladoric, a slippery snake right now on that Rakan. Always difficult to engage on, and the grand entrance is too much for Decoy. He's dead. Another kill for Violet. It starts to snowball.
A really odd little set of ganks there from PGG. Pabu left the bush before the Hex Flash had completed from Decoy. Kind of reveals the whole strategy, and you mentioned it's so hard to actually find a Rakan at all. Summoner spells were available. I believe the flash was there, so if you don't find it immediately with the rel engage, you can get punished. And here we're going to try.
Oh, this might not go too well. Aladoric again dives in on top of Pabu. This time it's just for Peel. Violet might have stayed a little too long, but Luckily, Pabu used the lilting lullaby earlier. Praedyth! Oh, hold your horses for a second, please.
All right, big fella, you want to have a crack? That was a bit bold. I'm not too surprised because it is Praedyth doing that, so he's definitely one of the AD carries that will push his limits at all times.
Chaz is doing the same thing. Diving on top of Halo. Now he's inside of his Shroud, so he's going to be okay. Actually, he forces an Ignite there, did he, from someone? Must have been Halo.
Spellbook, I believe,
Yep.
Ignite to get cycled through. But still, that's one of those trades where, like, you could look at it and say, Chaz could kill Halo there, yes. But he leaves him low health so that there's really no value for Zilean to stick around to ult someone else. He has to ult himself. So that is actually still a win for PGG by winning a trade. Dragon, very low.
Oh, here comes Lee Star, has the Ghost as well. Pabu nearly one-shot dodges the unstoppable horse. And for now, we'll go down. I mean, that's crazy from Peace.
Yeah, I mean, it's just catching PGG out, knowing that the Dragon's being done. It's not a very high damage build by Pabu. It's the Zhonya's Rush for team fighting. So they are able to just pick him apart. Stopwatch seemingly not activated yet. It's a bit of a weird one, but 14 minutes, I guess. No kill involvements. That is the way that it goes.
Yeah.
And that really is a tragedy for Pabu. So Dragon secured 1 for 1. And consider that it's now 5-0 in kills. And compare that to the last game when we hit around this mid-game point.
Oh,
it is
Praedyth
not going PGG's way.
could be in real trouble here. Lisa, again, this time doesn't have the Ghost. Won't be able to catch up. Onslaught of Shadows also on cooldown, but it is going to result in a bot tower. Twitch predictions, 77% voting for Pentanet to go up 2-0. 77% feeling perhaps a little bit foolish right now. But that is not over yet. That's the thing. I mean, 5-0 is a good lead, but is it enough for Peace? It wasn't last game. Not that it was 5-0, but you get what I'm saying.
This is one of those games, though, right, where if somehow PGG win this one, you kind of look at it and say, put a bow on the series 3-0. Just because they are ahead in the right places. Their comp works around Violet. It is literally just 5-0 with a 5,000 gold lead 14 minutes in. And any win condition that exists from Pentanet.gg has kind of just been quelled for the moment. So from this position, right, a team that is so good at snowballing leads out to being a win should just win. There's no way PGG should come back into this one. But they're a good enough team that they can, and Peace have proven to not be the perfect team in closing out.
Yep.
So the mistakes can happen. We saw it last game as well. And that's really what you're counting on now if you're Pentanet, right? See if the shutdown soldiers over there give you a bit of extra money.
0-2 for both Pabu and Decoy. The primary engage tools for Pentanet, not what you're going to be wanting to see. They'll be feeling a bit apprehensive about diving into the backlines, although I suppose for Pabu it's much of a muchness once he gets the Zhonya online, which it is now. He's always going to be a squishy champion, regardless of if he's got 2 kills or 2 deaths, so the idea is pretty much the same. Be interesting to see if he's going to go for the Moonstone again. He did say last time we saw him playing Lilia that when he got behind, he thought, maybe I'll just play supportive roles and take the Moonstone here. Might not be the go this game.
I mean, it's not a horrible choice, given that he already has a magic damage dealer in mid lane, and it's a proto belt. But so the fact that it is a proto belt for Chaz means that you can afford a Leandri, so they're not stacking mid.
Yeah, there is an engage. It's great entrance from Aladoric. Violet trying to put the damage down onto Praedyth, who was forced to flash and heal to get out. Decoy will just do the Rel Waddle. Here comes Lisa. Not afraid at all. The one shot is in. Onslaught of Shadows to finish things off, and Decoy can't quite catch up to him fast enough. Teleport through from Biopanther. Appy as well. They're all arriving in mid. It's a party in the mid lane. But the party has been called off.
I mean, it's a party that Peace start. It's one that they win straight out of the gates. They're going to force Pentanet back to base. Teleports in hand. Licking their wounds. A desperate situation starts to go for them. Violet finds himself 40 CS ahead, 2-0-3 on his Xayah. This game definitely continuing to stretch their way. That mid-outer turret falling means that the map is much more open for Peace as well. Rift Herald number 2 is available and is theirs for the taking for the minute 30 until the next Ocean Dragon spawns if they would like. Definitely a tough spot to be in if you were if you were Pentanet. At least they're so strong with the Zillion, like we mentioned in draft, that I mean, you're seeing how much of an impact he's having already.
I was going to bring it up that Lisa's now 2-0-4, and seems like every moment we see him on the screen, he's blowing someone up. Have to imagine that if Pentanet get through to that game 3, and they're still on red side, they're going to be banning the Hecarim away. I mean, regardless of side, maybe they're not too keen to let Lisa get that champion back. It just seems like it's been having too much impact to allow to go through.
I just feel like Hecarim is probably... This is definitely an opinion, and it is a subjective thing, but it 100% feels to me like Hecarim is the strongest of all of the meta junglers right now. He's just too snowbally with those leads overall, and it just makes the game so easy to play if this tank-building champion is literally one-hitting you and can cover such extreme distances with the chem tank. So
yeah,
I would like to see that banned in future, regardless of win or loss in this one. If
there's no flash for Praedyth, he's a dead man. And right now, there is no flash for him. There's really no way to actually get out of the fight. And here we go, another dive through from Aladoric. Call of the Forge God is decent in just keeping Pentanet at bay as the teleport through from Chaz does keep it alive. Happy using his heal there and just transferring that back to teleport.
Lisa.
But Lisa is on the flank. Onslaught of Shadows catches Decoy. Violet using the Feather Storm to survive the damage from Chaz. Chaz hiding inside of his Shroud, but he's in the middle of 5 players. And it's 9-0 now, Rusty. The game continues. Never mind. Oh, never mind, never mind. He's getting resurrected by Halo. Still alive right now is Violet, but for how long? Killer Instinct from Praedyth, and this might be the turn that Pentanet was looking for. Peace tanking the tower. Appy can't survive. Aladoric also low, and Halo surely down to Pabu. It's all happening at the moment, and Peace have fumbled a little bit.
They try to save the President, but he's so far under the turret from an Urgot max range ultimate that they have to go really out of their way to try and help him at all, and that's just giving a bit too much space, a bit too much time, and a lot of opportunity for PGG to take some kills back. They are very successful in doing so, but at the same time, you know, you're seeing the fights initially go Peace's way pretty easily. Funny interaction as well, isn't it, between the Zillion ultimate with an Urgot, but you have to remember that he pulls you like 3,000 units towards his turrets, so it's not as simple as keeping someone alive in that case, and maybe it was just better off leaving the Violet and the Xayah to die. But still, it was a clutch exhaust from Halo earlier.
In hindsight, I think it was definitely better to leave him to die because he did end up going down anyway, so could have just been the 1 player lost instead of 3.
It's not a mindset shift though for them, isn't it? Like it's so easy for us to say, but will they ever do that as Peace?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's obviously not the end of the world for Peace. They're still in the lead, but these are the kinds of things that we don't want to be seeing because it allows Pentanet the opportunity back into the game where it otherwise probably shouldn't have been given to them. Now, importantly, the kills go on to Biopanther and Pabu. So they're going to be the ones that we'll be looking to in this next fight to sort of step up. You know, you'd probably want those kills maybe on someone like Praedyth. Imagine the shutdown if he gets it and it goes on to the Kai'Sa. You know you're going to get value out of that, but it's actually Biopanther that gets the 300 gold shutdown onto Violet. And Urgot's definitely the kind of champion that can use the gold to quite a degree of efficiency. Yeah. If he can get into the fight, though.
Yeah, absolutely. He does a lot of damage in team fights. The one thing I'd point out is your standard Urgot build, which is what he is building, you know, the Titanic Hydra from the looks of it after the Stride Breaker, isn't a tank-busting build. So Appy will be okay in side lane, so there is no real side lane threat. Has to be team fights.
Well, Decoy wants to go into a team fight, but he's forced away, and a teleport through from both of the top laners coming from the bot lane, but perhaps too little too late for Biopanther because Violet's already found 1 kill. Lisa, Onslaught of Shadows was good, but over the wall is Chaz and starting to cause some problems in the back line. Pabu doesn't have the Lilting Lullaby available, but the slow might well be enough. It gets rid of Violet. And Peace are running with their tail between their legs. Pentanet have won another fight in a row. Starting to get flashbacks from game 1.
Yeah, that was even with Decoy going way too early and just way too aggressively. Praedyth.
Speaking of aggressively, Praedyth, Killer Instinct, but everyone walks out okay.
he has to use it aggressively every single time. I mean, the one takeaway for me in that fight was that they did try to focus BioPanther. He is the Fed member of the team, right? And that was effectively a 4v5 when you look at it. Violet did use his E at the start of the fight to make sure the rel went down. You know, it didn't go... It wasn't a free kill under Decoy. They did have to spend some resources here and there, but... I mean, just plain and simple, Chaz kept them so busy for so long. The Zilean ultimate didn't see it have any effect. Didn't actually see enough of it, but...
Yeah, so... Winds of change are in effect. We've gone from 9-0 to 10-5. And the gold lead is shifting from 5k or so to now about 3k.
Money bush.
Gotta love the support battle over the control wards.
That's the wave clear there from Halo as well, using the Everfrost to make sure he has enough damage on the wave. It was actually 3,000 gold difference, I think, before that fight even started. So the fact that they do seem to come out at least even PGG in this situation where Decoy was massively out of position trying to engage in the first place. It's still a blessing, I think, for Peace overall. They've still got a monster Hecarim on their side with a Zilean who can speed him up. And it's basically impossible now to kill Violet. You can QSS an Urgot ult.
Reset time for the bot lane of Peace. Pentanet not too interested in doing a whole lot just yet. 25 seconds on Dragon, so this is the eye of the storm. Waiting for the lanes to be pushed in. Halo's going to be doing a pretty damn good job of that on Zilean.
Yep.
Gets early prio, and so Peace are able to clear out all the vision that they could want and set up some of their own.
Yeah, so now's the time to actually maybe talk about scaling unless a fight does break out. They're posturing, so I may hold that.
Aladoric's looking for a big grand entrance, but he's going to use it onto a Zhonya. Here comes the Ornhorn. R2 looks good, catches Praetor. But it's already over. The fight's done. 2 players down for Pentanet, and that's how they want it to go. Onslaught of Shadows. Lisa wants to start again. Aladoric follows up. Now Violet and Chaz in a one-on-one, and Violet decides he wants to chase him down. He won't stop. He just keeps going forward, and finally gets caught by BioPanther, but has Chrono Shift on, has the faith in his teammates to follow up, and that is going to be the end of BioPanther's killing spree. 3-1-1 Peace. And they get more than just the 2.
Yeah, they get much more than that. You'd like to see them push for the inhibitor, but they just don't have the minion wave, so Baron is going to be on the cards. There's also a Drake being done at the same time by Lisa, taken very early. Thankfully for him, because he'll be able to run back over here with Smite in hand to ensure this Baron is secured. Pabu was the first person to die on the side of PGG, so he's actually here with Flash ready. If they were to steal it, Pabu has to be a hero.
He's also a level down, so it's not going to be easy. Aladoric also trying to be a pesky mosquito in the back lines. The sleep goes through onto Appy. The steal is in. Pabu's got it, and that could be the turning point. So many kills coming through. A few of them for Pentanet. Chaz in a problematic situation here. Won't be able to get out, I say, as he does die. But the Baron steal prevents disaster for Pentanet.
Yeah, they choose to flip the burger here, Peace. They say that we will just take the Smite battle. We will try and take the Smite on our terms. Chaz actually starts to become a really big menace on the side of the fight there, and he's constantly causing just chaos, it seems like, in the communication of the Peace squad. But at the end of the day, it was a Smite battle in the pit. It felt like a pretty much 50-50 situation. Pabu is the one who comes out on top. It's the chaos like that. It's those moments where Peace aren't fighting entirely on their own terms, where they're suffering to the hands of PGG. And that steal may have just kept them in the game.
It seems like the prevailing storyline for Pentanet in a few of their matchups. Stay in the game as long as possible and then wait for that defining team fight that turns things back on its head. There's that ever-present threat whenever you're going up against Pentanet that, despite the fact that you're ahead, they'll just find a way to win a team fight. And if it gets late enough, eventually that team fight is going to have enough impact that you just lose the game.
And we're talking about this game like PGG are coming back in it, right? it's not necessarily true. They are still falling behind consistently. It's just that they've been given ins, that they haven't had a clean shutout here, Peace. And those moments and those opportunities do start to add up. And once again, remember that you're playing the best team in the league here. So Peace need to try and be as clean as possible, or they could suffer greatly like they did in that first game. But still they are, 3,000 gold ahead. They're maintaining their lead. Still, they have a 9-2 Xayah, and they may have a Biopanther to catch.
I do find it amusing watching a Zillion chase down an Urgot. The turn is here, but what can Biopanther do? Knowing that Halo has Chrono Shift available, and now Lisa, well, he runs out of E, but he's still got the Zillion speed boost available. Biopanther not really taking a lot of damage right now. There's a lot of options for Pentanet on the other side of the map as Biopanther takes the scenic route down top. Eventually, he'll be collapsed upon, and he will die to Halo. But that took a long time, and it meant a bot tower goes down. Mid tower not really under too much pressure. Ampy doing a good job of defending that. So I suppose all's well that ends well for Peace, but it was quite comical.
The plan was solid. The result was expected. It just took a significant amount of time. Biopanther's able to hold his flash. Doesn't matter if you're using the ultimate this early. And the bottom lane turret going down, remember that PGG have Baron, so you'd expect outers to drop. But now we've got a 4v5. Teleports coming into mid lane as well. They're looking to try and really hit home the fact that Bio is dead and get an inhib.
Appy's just forced the ghost through. I thought that it was Lisa. I was thinking, what is he looking for right now? But Appy just swapping summoner spells with that unsealed cell book. And now, Inhibitor turret is on, but so is a bit of a nap time. Pabu gets a 3-man sleep. Not that Pentanet can really do anything with it because Biopanther's still respawning, so lilting Lullaby out of the picture. And it's really onto Decoy now to find an engage if Pentanet do want to fight. No reason to anymore with the Inhibitor down.
Yeah, one of the other things that we were going to talk about, but they just consistently try and fight like this, is that Ornn items are currently coming through. So when you look at the scaling of both of these teams, it's a lot easier to be on the Ornn side as Praetor.
Yeah, not really where you want to be caught. He doesn't have flash available, and he is going to be taken down. Onslaught of Shadows comboed with the Ornn Horn, and Pabu is dead as well. Aladoric looking to follow up and get some knockups onto Chaz, but won't be able to. And Rusty, I think we might be on the precipice of Peace finally getting a map victory over Pentanet.
They've got the supers while they don't have the Baron. Biopanther can clear, but they're going to look for the end.
Happy with the knock-up. Aladoric there following up as well, and Violet just in the back line. Uncontested. Decoy did his best, but he is a 0-6 rel, and there is only so long you can survive against a Xayah with 10 kills. In the
wave
end,
cleared.
Might be enough.
Even though he dies, he does what's required. He buys time. It doesn't matter if Decoy is dead if the rest of his team comes back up and stays alive. So yes, the game will stand. And that was a bit of time spent there by Peace. You don't want to say wasted, right? Because they still get a free dragon. They still get an extra kill out of it, some extra money in their pockets. So they're still well and truly winning this game. And now they have an actual avenue to close it out in one team fight. So PGG hold on.
They hold on by the barest of margins. Guess they've still got their 2 Nexus towers. Won't see any backdoor shenanigans. So now we look to take control of Baron. Pentanet working their way through River, through the blue side jungle. Chaz has been spotted on a ward. He's managed to get a control ward down as well. So he can start to now lurk around in that jungle, cause problems for anyone on the rotate.
Just so hard to kill Violet at this point, right? From the moment he had QSS, the chances of executing him went down significantly. They know Chaz is here, by the way.
Yeah, Appy. Not quite able to get a knock up there. Chaz a bit too heads up.
So, side lane priority not good for PGG. They're making a play for just the Baron.
Aladoric.
That bot wave can take turrets by itself. That's how big that is.
Did just use the Shurelius Revelry. Peace wants an engage. They're looking for one, and it's going to come off the back of Lisa. He's still holding on to Onslaught of Shadows. Aladoric grand entrance followed up by a knock-up from Appy. The sleep is in from Pabu. How much of a difference does it make? Well, enough, because Appy's essentially 1v3 in the backline, and he can't survive.
Yeah, Appy tries to tank for the team, but Urgot Execute just shows exactly why it's so valuable. Praetor, with his 3 items, has got the armor penetration there, so they can just kill Appy and try and do the same thing with Lisa when these fights happen. Once again, note, they do not care about their sideways. PGG are playing ARAMs and river control for Baron only.
This is workable still for Peace. They held on to a lot. Onslaught of Shadows, everything still available. Featherstorm
Chaz.
even, and that's used by Violet to survive. Oh, never mind, I've lied, everybody. It's a complete ace by Pentanet. That could not have gone worse for Peace.
They just wiped them. Appy gone, no chance to get into the fight. Teleport is available when he's alive, but he's dead for 2 more seconds. They find a flank angle, and PGG say, we're not playing for side lanes, we're playing for Baron only. And Peace try and just take the fight. The confidence of Peace, perhaps it's just hubris in the end, gets the better of them. And they don't just sacrifice the Baron. They don't contest slowly. They walk into the river and give that opportunity to Pentanet, who punish instantly as they should.
Are we seeing it happen again? It feels like right in front of my eyes, Peace is letting this game slip away. Biopanther's getting strong. Chaz is having a lot of impact. Praetor has 300 CS. At that point, it doesn't matter how many kills he's got. He's starting to come online. 3.5 items for him. So Pentanet are hitting breakpoints. And Peace is giving them opportunities where, think about where we were 15 minutes ago. 9-0 for Peace. And ever since then, Pentanet have been going neutral or better.
They were knocking on the front door 5 minutes ago to end the game. I think the major thing that we're looking at right now is maybe the Ocean Soul. If this next dragon goes the way of Peace, it could just be a steal. That could still be devastating for Pentanet to deal with. An Ocean Soul on Azaya composition, you know, tanks in side lanes just become unstoppably large. It can be a game-changing factor, but right now, I think this is the first point in the game where we can say they've definitively got the gold lead, PGG, and now they're in a position to try and use that Baron. Easier said than done, admittedly, but they can try and use it to snowball a little bit of gold back their way.
Well, that's the second Baron that they've been able to get. Aladoric needs to be a little careful here. Pentanet are the ones on the front foot at the moment.
Yeah.
First time in what feels like the entire game, they're actually looking for the engage, and Peace are on the retreat.
I would still rather be the one getting engaged on, I think, if I was Pentanet. You don't want to walk into a 10-kill Xayah and let her get feathers on all of you.
Yeah.
You probably still want to make them come to you. You can see the recall actually goes out from Praetor on this Kai'Sa. Peace have said, you can take the dragon if you want. We win the game if you're not careful. This is a dicey situation with flanks everywhere.
It's one of those awkward team fights where you never really know if you're in a good position or if you're out of position. And a lot of it comes down to the vision control, of which Pentanet look a little better. Aladoric forces Shirelia's and quickness, and he has completely caught Pabu. No lullaby available in this fight. Surely for Peace, this is what they're looking for. But Violet, so low on HP.
Dead.
Chrono Shift wasn't thrown down on him, and in the end, it is going to be Pentanet starting to turn this fight back on its head until Lisa does so much damage. Unbelievable. Biopanther 1-on-2. He won't quite be able to do it.
Oh, he has a GA though.
Has got a Guardian Angel. And so Halo really wants to hit this second bomb just to force that bit of extra damage through. And Everfrost is going to make life hell for Biopanther. He can't go anywhere. It's a Zillion. And he's got a red buff as well to boot. Not that that matters too much, but that's worked out for Peace.
But he bought like a minute of time. That was so close to the game actually just ending if Biopanther didn't have a Guardian Angel, didn't buy an extra minute basically worth of time. They had minions pushing at the mid lane inhibitor. Peace could have ended the game there. That's how close that was. But still, they'll get the Ocean Soul. They do remove the Baron buff off the side of PGG in its entirety, and they win a team fight. But Violet is still dying. Halo is struggling to deal with Chaz, who's just constantly threatening him now. And we have a game 100% on our hands here. Ocean Soul even included in that.
Oh, man. 36 minutes. It's the longest game that we've seen between Pentanet and Peace so far. There was a 34-minute matchup in regular season, which did go the way of Pentanet. Both the regular season games did. Even though Pabu goes down in that fight without using the lullaby, I mean, Pentanet make it look pretty close, so
Yeah.
I still feel there's a little bit more in the tank for Pentanet next fight.
Absolutely. Prater's been team fighting exceptionally, actually, in that last one as well. The thing that stood out to me, I think, in that last fight is the way that he was able to time his ultimate to the backline, but the most important aspect is Zilean not ulting Azaya. If there is ever a moment where Halo has to ult himself, then your composition isn't playing the way that you would like it to play, right?
Yeah.
That happened in that last fight. Even with Aurelia dead, Chaz found a flank, found an opportunity, and found a moment. If that happens continuously, then there's a chance that fights continue to go the way of PGG.
Flash is available for Pabu in this fight. Same for Appy, but Summoner Spell's looking a bit bare across the board aside from that. A big Flash Lullaby combo from Pabu would be a nice way to start the fight off. Particularly given Violet doesn't really have too many escape tools, just the Featherstorm. Aladoric will be fine here. He is a Rakan after all.
You can't waste your ultimate if you're Kai'Sa right now, especially without any summoner spells available. Violet is going to be hyper aggressive here. Whenever the Zilean speeds him up, Gale Force at the ready.
Aladoric might have an opportunity to open things up here. Chaz goes into the Shroud Grand Entrance, knocking Decoy up, but Peace decides to disengage. So that's one ultimate down for Aladoric. Shirelia's as well. A little bit invested there by Peace for not a whole lot of return. Halo is isolated.
Just threatening at this point, right? Both teams posturing. Puff chests in mid lane looking for a chance. Waiting for someone to maybe make a mistake. I do think we're at a point where if Peace make a massive error, even though their mid lane outer turret is alive, the game could end.
Violet's doing it himself, has the Chrono Storm available on top of him. He's going to survive for now. And the knock-up is great. Played it, done. Surely this is Peace's chance now. Violet, a double kill, continues to auto-attack uncontested. And in the end, gets a triple. Will chase Biopanther down as well, looking for that quad, but it does not matter who it goes to. Chrono Shift, the MVP in that fight, because Violet just decides to absolutely send it.
That's the game right there, right? They get the team fight victory. The Ocean Soul obviously helps a little bit, but at Violet v Praedyth again. And this time it is Violet that comes out on top because the composition of Peace plays how it should.
Well, the Nexus towers go down. Peace are looking confident. 30 to 15. 14 kills for Violet is what it requires to take down Pentanet. But they, at the very least, will force us to a game 4. Obviously, game 3 still yet to be played, but we do know that much. The scoreline 1 apiece. And maybe there's some fight left in Peace today. Pentanet handed their first defeat at the hands of Peace. And all of a sudden, we have a big series on our hands.
It just feels good, doesn't it, to not have a 3-0 back-to-back-to-back. We actually have a series where it can go either way. And even in this game, right, there was moments where it was back and it was forth. It wasn't the same as game number 1 by any means. PGG somehow clawing it back for what felt like just the claws of defeat and Peace. Not perfect gameplay, but good enough to beat the top dogs in our league.
Someone that's all over the perfect gameplay. We saw that yesterday in the show match. Mac, mate, back into the conversation here. And
Thanks,
how are you
Jordan.
feeling now after that one, Mac?
Yeah, great. You know, just want to do a little Pabu cosplay with the old yoink and steal that Baron one more time. Apparently, he's been watching Jube's VODs. So there you go. You know, always good to see that he's been putting in a solid effort there. But look, it's Peace that managed to steal the show. Almost lost the game after some good attempts at a comeback coming out from PGG. But all things considered, they had that early power spike, certainly put their foot down, and then managed to finally get the Ocean Soul, which helped them in that final fight to put a nail in the coffin, which is what they needed to do. Now, mentally, they can reset. It's just back to even Stevens, you know, 1 game apiece. And from here, both teams need 2 to get that W, and I have a feeling we're going to be going to all 5 tonight.
It's a good feeling to have, that's for certain, after this game. And yeah, I do think that, and we said this at the start of that game, right? If this went the way of PGG, it could just be a 3-0 wipe and call it a night early. Just looking at the way that the mental would be feeling, given that they've had leads in both games. You know, they only lose game number 1 with that lead. This time, they actually stand strong. Still dicey at moments, right? So much of this game came down to who can Zilean press the ultimate on. And the one time you see it on the right target, I mean, look how good the team fight is.
Yeah, it's just absolutely perfectly executed. And yeah, from here, look, Peace with 30 kills. That is a big performance. What was that, 45 kills? in the whole damn game. That was nuts. Almost the Penta there as well, but Violet unfortunately couldn't get that 5th one. And I did see Pradith. He was very unhappy with that last fight in the player cam. I think I saw a little bit of a desk slam. It was either a desk slam or a hands up in the air, you know, like, bugger sort of situation. Well, anyway, let's talk about the draft quickly. So, looks like for Pentanet, they managed to get Kaiser back in the hands of Pradith, and it was unsuccessful for the first time, I believe.
Yeah, this will be a difficult one, I think, for Pentanet to negotiate going into Game 3 because it felt like there was a lot of problems that they had to deal with there. So Hecarim, obviously one of them, but the Xayah Rakan as well doesn't feel like something that you can give to Violet and Aladoric again. So Pentanet have at least got the luxury now of deciding what side they want to start on. We would assume that they're going to start on blue, which is going to force those meta bans to go back over to Peace. But do you ban away the Rakan? Do you ban away the Hecarim just to ensure those can't come through? Or do you try to pick them away? Lots of thinking actually to do for Pentanet now coming through between game 2 and Game 3.
And look, they're going to have plenty of time to think, as well as you guys at home, to think about what you're going to have for dinner, because it's certainly time to eat. If you are not entertained, you certainly will be. Game 3 coming up just after this break.
Onslaught of Shadows, everything's still available. Featherstorm even, and that's used by Violet to survive. Oh, never mind, I've lied, everybody. It's a complete ace by Pentanet. Cud's doing it himself, has the Chrono Storm available on top of him. He's going to survive for now. And the knock-up is great. Played it, done. Surely this is Peace's chance now. Violet, a double